It's just not the same. Anyways, what's up, guys? Ready Player One f***ing sucked. Now, if you're wondering how a highly successful movie, deemed by critics and audiences alike, is bad to me, well then I refer you to the date this video was uploaded below. But in all seriousness, guys, here's my real review. Ready Player One. So Ready Player One is about a kid growing up in Columbus, Ohio in the year 2045. And it's a time where everything is so shitty that everybody is looking for an escape. And everybody seems to have found that escape in this new futuristic VR game. And in this VR game, players are tasked with finding 3 hidden keys that will allow them to win the game. But everything is not all fun and games when a huge corporation invades the game and wants to win it for themselves. Because whoever is the winner of this game gets the whole game signed over to them for the rest of their lives, and they have full control of it. So this is basically Easter eggs and nostalgia the movie. But Easter eggs and nostalgia alone cannot make up a movie. So, was this movie good? For me, it's a hell yeah. For me, this is a true return to form for Steven Spielberg, a return back to his fantasy movies like E.T. And I loved it. We haven't seen classic Spielberg like this in I can't remember how long. Now, this is not really a artsy kind of movie. It's more of a fast-paced, fun popcorn movie. So as long as you go into this movie not expecting it to be a super artsy movie with a lot of depth and commentary on real life, but rather you go into this movie expecting a fun popcorn movie with a lot of nostalgia porn, then I think you're gonna like this movie just as much as I did. So let's get into some of the things that I liked and what I didn't like about this movie. First off, let's go into what I liked. The visual effects, like CGI and everything in this movie, are freaking amazing. Some people might say that this movie's CGI is easier to animate because they didn't have to make it look real. They just had to make them look like video game characters. But I disagree, because all of the CGI on the video game characters had such amazing detail. And it's not just the CGI that looks good on the video game avatars, it's also how they animated the way they move and everything. Everything, all their movements are just so fluid. You know, you see in video games a lot of times there's that uncanny valley when you're watching, like, video game characters. You can't put your finger on it, but something is just off about them. But in this movie, I did not have that experience at all. I never got creeped out looking into these CGI characters' eyes for the whole movie, and I never got creeped out by any of their movements either. In video games, a lot of times the movements are just like really robotic sometimes, and it just doesn't look natural. In this movie, it looked really natural for being completely CGI. I haven't seen a movie like this in a while where half of it is in fully CGI and the other half is in live-action reality. And the whole time, I would rather watch the fully CGI scenes than the live-action scenes. Every time they went back to the live-action scenes, I was always like, oh, come on, I want to go back to that world, that video game CGI world. And usually I'm not yearning for that in a movie. I would rather see real-life stuff. Don't get me wrong, the live-action scenes are great too, but in comparison to the world that this movie set up in the video game world and the VR world, I would just rather be there the whole time instead of, you know, the live action parts. There's a scene in this movie when they're in the VR world that is just, mwah, for us horror fans especially. You could tell Steven Spielberg wanted to put this scene in the movie for one of his good friends who is sadly passed away now. And he was a director as well, and a damn good one at that. And I thought it was just really sweet of him to pay homage to his dearly departed friend slash director. I don't want to completely spoil what the horror movie was that the scene was referencing, but that scene really shined. Another thing I liked in this movie was the comedy was actually really good. Most of the jokes, they really landed for me. It was definitely a lot better than the comedy in Pacific Rim Uprising. Holy shit. That movie's comedy was bad. All the actors did really good in this movie. I don't think I want to single out any of them because they all did such a great job, and I would just be here for hours probably saying, I love this guy, I love that girl, I love this guy, that girl, you know. It would just be too monotonous. But I will single out one guy just for the sake of it. Bill Mendelsohn. He is perfect. He is perfect at playing a huge corporate douchebag. I also like TJ Miller's voice work in here. I'm a pretty good fan of TJ Miller. I like him in almost everything that I've seen him in, so it was nice to hear him be kind of funny in this movie, but also play a bad guy at the same time. Another thing, do I even have to say that the music was great in this movie? I guess I do because I'm here alone. The music was great in this movie. From all the very nostalgic 80s songs to the beautiful score by, I think it's Alan Silvestri, it was all just perfect. Now, I have a couple things I didn't like, a couple complaints, but they're very minimal, so let's just get right into them. One of my only complaints is that this movie is slightly too long for me, and I think it will be slightly long for a lot of other people as well. They probably could have cut 15 minutes out of this movie, probably, and it still would have been a great movie. But it wasn't that horrible. It just kind of dragged a tad in some spots towards the end. Another complaint was the beginning had a lot of exposition over the movie coming from a narration from the main character. And I just thought maybe they could have found a better way to explain everything through characters interacting and through visuals, rather than just a long narration from the main character in the beginning of the movie. Anyways, guys, it's a really good movie. I liked it a lot, and I would definitely recommend you see it on the big screen if you can. In 3D, I'm assuming. I didn't see it in 3D, but I'm assuming it is probably really good in 3D, so go out and see it right away. I'm going to give Ready Player One an A-. But anyways, guys, those are my quick thoughts on Ready Player One. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.